Now you're the CEO of a very exciting company that is Qilimanjaro Quantum Tech. What are you doing exactly?
Quantum computers are a new paradigm of doing computations. Nature is quantum. I wanted to understand nature. Can we end up curing diseases that do not have a cure nowadays with the future quantum computers? Superconductors are the ones that are in these chandeliers. Superconducting qubits, which is the quantum transistor that builds the processor, needs to be at very low temperatures. Very, very low. Lower than the outside universe. It's almost 20 millikelvin. It's 20 millikelvin above absolute zero. Can we accelerate breakthroughs in medicine? How we accelerate breakthroughs in the way we understand the world and we work as a society, as humanity? Can we help in the well-being of that? So for me, the importance why we should care is for curiosity on who we are, where do we go, what's out there, understanding better the world, but also making the world better. Try to build systems that consume less energy, more sustainable. We need to become more sustainable because we cannot keep evolving at the pace that we are in terms of natural resources. So we need to start building more sustainable ways of doing things, from cars to computers. So that's one thing. Let's make the world better with more efficient ways of doing computation. Let's also make the world better, making life easier for companies, for families. Let's optimize things as much as we can.
Welcome to Lift, where we meet leaders that are building a legacy. Today we have Marta Estarellas, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, and she's a quantum computing expert. She holds a PhD in physics and is currently the CEO of Qilimanjaro Quantum Tech. Welcome, Marta.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing?
Good, very good. Very excited to be here, to be honest.
Awesome. Today we're going to talk about quantum computers. It's a very fascinating topic, but it's also quite complex, right? So we will try to explain quantum computers in the most simple terms possible. So, Marta, you studied in Spain, also in the UK and US, and worked in Japan. And now you're the CEO of a very exciting company that is Qilimanjaro Quantum Tech. What are you doing exactly? What is quantum computing?
Quantum computers are a new paradigm of doing computation. So we have what we call classical computers, which are the computers that we all have in our house and also in data centers, hyperscalers on the cloud that compute very complex problems, but also very simple problems in our day-to-day. We even have computers in our pockets, the mobile phones, very, very powerful nowadays. And quantum computers is a different way of building a computer. Quantum computers build a new way of doing computation based on the laws of quantum mechanics. And now the question, what is quantum mechanics?
There you go. The floor is yours.
Quantum mechanics is the physics that describes very, very small systems. So the macroscopic physics that we can see with the eyes, that we have learned in school with Newtonian laws and so on, is classical physics. But when we go at microscopic level, at atomic level, molecules, and so on, those systems are governed by a different type of physics, a very, very exotic physics, and this is quantum mechanics. So some years ago, scientists realized that with quantum mechanics, you could encode information and that you could manipulate information. And this paved the way to a new way of doing computation, quantum computing. So what you do is to use the laws of quantum mechanics to build a new logic of manipulation of the information. So instead of adding or subtracting ones and zeros, you exploit quantum effects that are very magical. They are very counterintuitive, but they happen. So superposition, entanglement, we won't deep dive into those, but you just believe that those are effects that are different from the way everything works that we can see. And with these effects, you can build this logic that allows you to construct algorithms or processes of manipulating information that for certain applications, for certain tasks, are more efficient than classical computers. And what does efficiency mean? Faster. Maybe you can solve a problem faster. Or maybe you can solve a problem with better precision, like not relying on approximations, but at the best result. Or maybe you can solve a problem with less resources. Now, energy and sustainability is a very important topic, especially in the computation space. Maybe you can solve these same problems using less energy, using less memory, using less resources. So this is what efficiency means. And this is why quantum computing is becoming so interesting. It can open us to a new world of problems that we can solve that were now, until now completely out of reach.
It's fascinating, and I've also been listening about quantum computing more in the recent years, right? And how is it related to AI?
This is coming now, actually, and it's very exciting. And there's a huge revolution now. We see it. Everything is about AI, and AI has become very present in our day-to-day, not only at the corporate level, on the operational pipelines of different industries, but also in our family lives. So I have home appliances that have AI integrated. How crazy is that? It's something that it has a lot of potential to make our lives easier, as long as you use it on the right way. And I think this has come to stay. Now, this comes with a cost. And this cost is that you need to realize that training of big models that made them so precise and so nice does not happen in the cloud. They happen in real infrastructure. They happen in huge data centers, huge hyperscalers that are constantly processing data. And if you want a model to be more precise every day, you need to be constantly retraining. These models are huge. These take a lot of resources. The power that is required for these data centers is becoming completely out of reach. So we are starting to see energy tension on the grid in the US, for instance. The growth, the demands of data processing are growing exponentially. So this means that the infrastructure that needs to be placed to fulfill those demands is growing exponentially. And this is not scaling well. It consumes a lot. So everybody now is looking at quantum computing. So remember, I said quantum computing promises to be able to solve problems more efficiently. This is the problem that we have now. So AI is entering like crazy, and we need to be able to compute all this data more efficiently if we want to keep progressing and having capacity to do more AI. And not only AI, but also many other complex problems that do not have anything to do with AI. So quantum computing all of a sudden is the big promise to solve this problem. Quantum computing is expected to consume orders of magnitude less of energy. It's expected to be more efficient. It's expected to be faster. And everybody's like, okay, hurry up. Build a quantum computer that is going to solve all these limitations so that we can keep growing in digitalization. So this is the big promise of quantum computing. And this is how much it relates to AI. Truth, quantum computing is an emerging field, needs to mature. We still need to show that quantum computing can solve all these AI problems. There are a lot of indicators, there's a lot of progress happening very fast, and I'm confident and I'm very sure quantum computing will be there for AI. Because otherwise, without quantum computing or without an alternative paradigm of doing computation, there won't be a future for AI.
Super interesting, and thanks a lot for sharing and make it so easy to understand, right? And I remember when we first met, you showed me a picture of how a quantum computer looks like, and to me it was like, oh, it's like a golden chandelier. Like, it's beautiful and it's golden, right? Can you tell us a little bit of how is it built and who builds these incredible computers?
It's crazy. It's like looking at computing technology 70 years ago. So it was very different from what it is now. So when you start a new technology, it tends to be over complex. And as you progress with the development of the technology and the maturity of it, things get smaller, things get more efficient. At the end of the day, standards are being built and everything gets more standardized. Now quantum computing is completely the opposite. There's no standards at all, and we don't even have a predefined hardware under which to build quantum computers. There are many options. You can build quantum computers with photonics. You can build quantum computers with atoms. You can build quantum computers with semiconductors, or you can build quantum computers with superconductors. Superconductors are the ones that are in these chandeliers. Superconducting qubits, which is the transistor, the quantum transistor that builds the processor, needs to be at very low temperatures. Very, very low, lower than the outside universe. It's almost 20 millikelvin. It's 20 millikelvin above absolute zero. So
wow.
Wow. It's a very cold place.
Wow.
It's a really cold place. But this temperature is necessary for superconductivity to emerge. And this phenomena is necessary to emulate and create these quantum effects that are necessary for the quantum computer to work and to be able to control it. So what we do is we put a superconducting chip at these cryostats, which are very complex systems, cylindrical systems, that at the end of the day, they are very complex fridge. or freezers. It's nothing else than that. And we place the chip on inside. We isolate it very well. We lower the temperature, and once you reach base temperature, you can start operating with the system. And you have it very well cabled to a server, and you access the server with your normal laptop in order to send the jobs and retrieve the result. So it works like a server at the end of the day. That requires very cold temperatures.
And can we talk about the price of this, right? Because I'm thinking, I don't know if I need it or not, but I want one, right? But like, no, like these computers are using custom computers, right? Like, can you share like some examples of use cases?
Yes. So at the moment, what we are doing in the field, so there are not many quantum computing builders. We are one of them here in Europe, and there are some more in the US. What we are all working on is on scaling the technology. So remember I mentioned qubits. Qubits is the quantum transistor. The more qubits you have, the more power your QPU, your quantum processing unit, has. At the moment, we are building processors of few hundreds of qubits. That's the state of the art of the ecosystem. But if we want to be able to reach applications and use cases that are out of reach for classical computers, we need to scale up a bit more. So we are all focused on this scaling up challenge, on how we can make these systems more powerful, how we can fabricate these systems. Now, the fabrication process is very artisanal, it's very human dependent. How can we build all these processes? How we can mitigate errors? So errors is a big issue. How we can lower down as much as possible the errors such that the information flows in a robust manner, and how we can start also interconnecting these systems with other types of computers. So quantum computers doesn't come to kill classical computers. That won't happen. That won't happen. Classical computers are very powerful. Data centers, HPC centers, supercomputers are necessary, and they will keep being necessary, because quantum computer cannot solve all the problems. They can solve some problems better, but not all problems. It's a little bit like when GPUs came, they started being something for video games, graphic processing. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, they become very useful for AI processing. And now we see data centers and hyperscalers and our own laptops that have racks of CPUs and racks of GPUs working together, interconnected. What we are starting to see is QPUs being connected, integrated with CPUs and GPUs, because they take some tasks, the lot of some tasks from those other systems that cannot solve them efficiently. What are those tasks? Simulation of quantum problems. Nature is quantum. Nature is quantum. We said it. If we go to microscopic level, atoms, which are the small pieces that build everything around us, behave under quantum mechanics. So if you want a very finely grained simulation of nature, to study new molecules for pharmaceuticals, or to study new materials or new fuels and so on at very molecular level, the more quantum effects you can simulate, the more precision you will have. And this is not very well represented with classical systems, but is very efficiently represented with quantum computers, because they speak the same language. The mathematics is the same. So a quantum computer can describe very well a quantum problem, and nature is quantum. So simulation of molecules, simulation of materials, simulation of things surrounding us, astrophysics and so on, particle physics and all these things are very suitable for quantum computers. Then there are some other challenges that are not so quantum, like optimization problems. How we can better optimize distribution of packages in a city, or how we can we better optimize financial portfolios for a bank, or how can we better optimize how you organize a warehouse, a very large warehouse. This seems to be a simple problem, but it's not, because when the problem becomes very, very big, it becomes intractable. Classical machines take too much time to solve it. So what we do in these companies that require to solve these large problems is to use approximations. And if you use approximations, it means that you might not get the best result. You get a good enough result. Quantum computing has shown to be able to reach this optimum result, the best result, faster without relying on these approximations. So that's another venue of applicability. And last but not least, which for me is very, very promising, is how we can do data processing, how we can do training of AI models with quantum computers, because this would have a huge, huge impact to the world in terms of sustainability. So I'm very hopeful that we will be able to prove this advantage. And we are starting to see that, like, very promising indicators in that direction.
Fantastic. I mean, I just find it absolutely fascinating. And now I'm wondering, like, what is your day job, right? I mean, you currently have a team of around 80 people, right? Like, you're growing. And who do you work with? Like, what are the profiles that usually work in building quantum computers?
Very bright and motivated people, I must say. I think this is what defines them. And they come from different fields. But one thing in common that they have is that they are very passionate for what they do. They feel they are opening a whole new world. They are unlocking a capacity that can completely revolutionize the world and allow the world to keep having breakthroughs in medicine, in understanding of the universe, on how we can make life easier for everybody. So very motivated people. And they generally come from technical fields, so physics, mathematics, computer engineering, industrial engineering, telecom engineering, electronic engineering, a lot of engineering and physics. But we are starting also to grow, and this means that we are also on board very passionate people about technology that don't necessarily have a PhD in quantum physics, because it's also important to start recognizing that the technology, in order to be democratized, needs to start going out of quantum physics departments and need to start reach the real world. So I think it's a good process to start onboarding into the team also people that can see technology with different eyes, with different perspective, more focusing on the applicability, more focusing on the business side, and so on.
Fascinating. And now let's talk about your own career, right? Like, if someone watching feels like, wow, I want to become Marta in the future, right? Like, let's talk about you. And like, what was your first moment when you realized I want to build a quantum computer, right? Like, how did you start?
I was a chemist. I studied chemistry. I always say life is a sequence of accidents. I wanted to be a vet. I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I love animals. I still love animals. And someday maybe I become a vet. I loved taking care of animals. But things happened. I didn't get into vet school. I'm from Mallorca. I didn't have vet school in Mallorca, so I couldn't go abroad. So I said, okay, I will do chemistry, close enough. And maybe I switch after 1 year. I didn't switch. I did the full degree of chemistry, and I didn't like it. It was smelly, really. The lab was very, very smelly. I didn't enjoy being in the lab at all. But there was one thing that I enjoyed a lot, which was called elective subject, that was called quantum chemistry. And that opened me the door to quantum mechanics. I didn't even know what quantum mechanics was. And I learned that if you wanted to build new pharmaceuticals, new medicines, you have to simulate very precisely the molecules. It's very expensive, the clinical trials for building pharma, and if you can speed up a little bit the process by doing simulation with computers and identify the best candidates, this makes things go faster. So I started working on simulation, and for that you needed quantum physics because the molecules are quantum. And I started working with supercomputers to do these simulations to try to accelerate the development of new pharma for diseases that nowadays don't have a cure. So how important is that? So for me, that was a very, very important purpose of on my day-to-day is I want to build something to cure. In my case, we were studying inhibitors of Alzheimer's, certain types of cancer, and Parkinson, and everybody knows somebody close that has suffered one of those. So for me, it was very important. And I started building these models, and I started running them in very large and very powerful supercomputers, and realized and learned about the limitations of those computers. And I saw that it was taking a lot of time, that I had to apply a lot of approximations to get a result, and most of the times the result was incorrect, was not good enough. So I got frustrated. And it was in that moment that I learned there was something called quantum computing. And everything clicked. And it's like, yes, of course, you need quantum computers, you need the quantum logic, you need quantum mechanics to describe quantum problems. And I left chemistry, I left my research, I moved to the UK, and I did a PhD in physics. I learned quantum physics. I learned the theory behind quantum computing. I'm not a hardware person, I'm not an experimentalist, so I always focused on the theory. And I built a career in that direction because I wanted to contribute in building this technology. And this is when everything changed. And there's been other accidents that have brought me to end up being the CEO of a quantum computing company that builds the quantum computers I wanted as a user.
Incredible. And at some point you also worked in Japan, right? Like you were there for like around 4 years?
Yes.
How was it?
Very exciting. Yes, that was also another accident. I never thought of going to Japan. After my PhD, I got this amazing opportunity to do my postdoc there at the National Institute of Informatics with amazing researchers. And I got to get very well connected with the quantum ecosystem from Japan. It was a very exciting place, a very exciting group in the middle of Tokyo with a very different culture, but also a very nice culture. So it was a very good opportunity to connect with a different type of doing, a different way of doing things, and also a different pace of doing things.
And then you moved back.
In Japan, I met, we had a visitor in my group, and this visitor was coming from Barcelona. And over some dinner, some drinks, he was telling me, he's Artur García Sáez, he's the head of quantum at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. And he was telling me, look, we are thinking of building this quantum computing company in Barcelona. And they already have the name, it's going to be called Qilimanjaro. And we have this idea of doing quantum computers in a different way that everybody else is doing. And I agreed so much with the vision, so I was encountering some frustrations in the way quantum computing was being developed due to the, well, most of the quantum computing providers build digital quantum computers, and I wanted to build a different type of quantum computer, analog quantum computer. And Qilimanjaro was being also think and built in that direction. And that was another click. So few months after the company was constituted, Artur called me and said, do you want to work here? And I also insisted, can I work here? And I got to come back to Spain, which for me was something that I was not expecting. I was not expecting to have ever the chance of working in a quantum computing company as close as here at home. So it was a tremendous opportunity.
And you just mentioned the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, right? Like, what is the connection that you have, like, or Qilimanjaro has?
So the Barcelona Supercomputing Center is a very, very, very key infrastructure that we have here in Spain. It's very important. It's one of the strongest, most powerful supercomputers in Europe. And they are doing amazing, amazing developments with those supercomputers. So the bigger the computer is, the most powerful it is, the more revolutionary things you can do, and the more challenges, scientific challenges you can unlock. And it's very exciting what they do here, what they do there. And Qilimanjaro was born as a spin-off of the Barcelona Supercomputing Center via Artur García Sáez, but also as a spin-off of UB, the University of Barcelona, and IFAE. And we have a clear link with BSc, despite from being a spin-off, is the fact that they are the ones building supercomputing capacities. And they rightfully chose to start navigating this wave of innovation, of integrating quantum computers with their infrastructure. So BSc is famous for always being at the summit of innovation. They always want to incorporate new technologies. And they wanted to have quantum computers. So they opened these tenders, these public tenders, which are offers to find for providers to build quantum computers. And there are not that many providers out there. So we fortunately won that tender, and we started installing quantum computers at BSc and solving all these challenges of what does it take to take a quantum computer outside your lab and build it in a production environment. It's not easy, it's new technology. You don't have standards, remember, you don't have processes. You need to reinvent everything, and you need to face the challenges to build a process for the next time. And that was a very good, very nice opportunity. We built 2 quantum computers there in a chapel, which is also another challenge, how you build quantum computers in a chapel, because the quantum computers at BSc are within a chapel with certain constraints of humidity, temperature, and so on that you need to keep into account when you're building complex technology. And these systems were open to the entire national network of supercomputing users. So now researchers, HPC developers, software developers, and all the users that have access to HPC infrastructure can use our quantum computers to reinvent new algorithms and so on. So this is the link that we have with the BSc. After that, the European Commission started opening procurements as well to keep reinforcing the quantum computing infrastructure in HPC centers around Europe. There was another public tender looking for an analog quantum computer to be installed at BSc, and we also won. We also won that one. So we have now 3 quantum computers at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. And we hope to keep upgrading them for many years because it's a very, very powerful differentiation that we have here at BSc.
Brilliant. And from that moment that you moved back to Spain, right, and you joined Qilimanjaro until becoming the CEO, can you share some of the highlights and also challenges, right, of this journey?
When I joined Qilimanjaro, it was not as CEO. It was as an engineer. I joined as an engineer. This is what I know. This is what I do, and I was happy about that. Very happy. We were 6 people, and everything was to be done. Everything was to be invented, and how you structure the company, how you build the teams, how you hire, what the processes. You have to think how you're going to fund that. Investment, grants, start building a network. I had been many years outside Spain. I didn't have any network. And networks are important. So it's many challenges that go and keep changing depending on the phase that you are at. So at the beginning, it was how we grow the team, how we define what we want to do. So we have an idea, we have some expertise, we have some know-how, but what are the next steps that we have to unlock? How you build a roadmap? Where do we go? Technical direction is very important. So there were many things, and I tried to help in as many as I could. I tried to help with bringing teams in, structuring teams, with what I had learned being in academia and working with large groups. I tried to help building a roadmap. I remember the first roadmaps that we made. They are very different from the ones that we have now, but listing the challenges, the technical milestones that we had to achieve, who do we need to unlock these technical challenges. Also start thinking of product. Why do we want to build this? Why does the world need a quantum computer? So I remember starting to sit down with companies. I never sat down with a company. I never had business experience or anything like that, and ask, what is your complex problem? What is your pain point? What is your operational hurdle? How can a quantum computer help? Because if I need to build a quantum computer, I need to understand what for. Because it's not only my chemistry problems, it needs to also solve other people's problems. So this was a little bit what was happening at the beginning. Also how we build the message, how we communicate, how we encourage people to come, encourage people to support us, investors. I started sitting on investor meetings. I started sitting in strategic meetings, and all of a sudden, the former CEO, Victor Canivey, who's the most amazing person and one of the biggest mentors I ever had, called me and say, Marta, we think you should be the CEO. And I was like, no way. I say no. I said no. But he made me think about it for some time, and he convinced me this was the best for the company. And I always say, and I will keep always saying, I will be whatever I'm more useful to keep building quantum computers. You see, if it's as a CEO now, it will be as a CEO. If I have to go to the clean room and fabricate qubits, I will fabricate qubits. If I have to go on the street and sell and give flyers on quantum computers, I will do that. I don't care. I would just want to see this happening. So there are many ways of seeing this. So for me, why I cared about quantum computers is because I wanted to unlock nature. I wanted to understand nature. Since we are very little, kids ask themselves, "Oh, Mom, what's out there? What happens after we die? What's out the universe? What does it mean, expanding universe? Universe is expanding constantly. Why does this work this way? How does the brain works?" There are many questions that are still unanswered. And there are many questions as well that have been answered thanks to computation, thanks to the ability to simulate very complex mathematical problems that we cannot do by hand. So the more progress you do in computation, the more powerful you can build a machine, the more problems you can solve, and you can keep answering those questions. And it's just out of it. It's curiosity. So for me, the importance why we should care is for curiosity on who we are, where do we go, what's out there, understanding better the world, but also making the world better. Making the world better, try to build systems that consume less energy, more sustainable. We need to become more sustainable because we cannot keep evolving at the pace that we are in terms of natural resources. So we need to start building more sustainable ways of doing things, from cars to computers. So that's one thing. Let's make the world better with more efficient ways of doing computation. Let's also make the world better, making life easier for companies, for families. Let's optimize things as much as we can. We work with hospitals, for instance. One of the use cases that we work with is on how we can optimize better chirurgical rooms. And I didn't know that this was a problem. But apparently the placement of equipment and the optimization of operations in a hospital and so on, it's a hard problem. And we started working on algorithms that could help optimize these chirurgical rooms, and we managed to get a 30% improvement. What does that mean? That means that we can do 30% more operations now. So it does have an impact for better. The other thing that we also should care about is not so much good things, right? So the what can quantum computing do as well as a threat? And that's a reality. So there are many, in the same way that it can solve problems that are very complex for good, it can also solve and, for instance, decrypt data that is very well protected. Mm-hmm. So data is protected with very complex mathematical processes. And if you have a computer that is very powerful to reverse the encryption, you can disclose data. So that's becoming a big worry for governments. So that's also one of the reasons why governments are starting to care a lot about technological sovereignty and protection of capacity of quantum computing, to be able to protect, but also to be able to advance as a society, which is the part I like the best, to advance as a society, to make the world better, and also to understand the world better.
Fascinating. And like, what is your daily life, right? Like, because I mean, I presume you're extremely busy, but yeah, like, how does a normal day look for you? If there's any normal day.
No, every day is different. And what I can say is that it's a constant change of context. So you can go from one point to a completely different one in just one day. And change of moods, because good things happen, bad things happen, and you just have to learn to coexist with a lot of swings and stress. You have to go from talking with an investor, have a very positive talk, to talk with your team, having an issue, to work on developing and keep refining roadmaps, product directions, to celebrate achievements, to it's very many change of context, government relationships, business relationships, an investor that says your company is great, an investor that says that the company is awful, that they are not going to invest. So it's a lot of swings, and also a lot of communication of what you do. It's a hard technology, and a big part of my role is explain what it is and why it is important and why we should all care.
Fantastic. And I think we are in constant change, right? Like more than ever. And I also believe that we are changing the era. It's a new revolution, not only for AI, but for deep tech especially. How do you manage this on a personal level, right? Because I think I used to work in technology as well. And I like change. I'm used to change, and I just look forward to next week with a new change of technology, whatever. And you work in deep tech, so it's like 10x probably my experience. But yeah, how do you manage all this hype and like tension and stress? Do you have any rituals, routines? You were built for this, or you were made for this?
I think nobody's built for this. You really need to adapt, and you need to change at the same pace that the technology and the field changes. And I think this is not for everyone. There's people that do not want to go at that speed, and that's completely fine. And I understand. Maybe someday I will say, no, that's enough. I don't want to go that fast. But if you want to be in the peak of innovation, if you want to be leading this innovation, you have to go at that pace. You have to go fast. Life is short. Things happen very, very fast. So you need to adapt to this rhythm, and you need to be perseverant. And things don't always go well, and it's a hard relationship with your job and with work. So it's more than a job. That's for sure. It's more than a job. It's something that you have here. So if you don't feel a passion, if you don't have a big purpose towards what you're doing, it's not sustainable, because nobody wants to sacrifice that much for just a job. It's not a job. It's something more. So you have to create this resilience, and you have to learn that bad things might happen, failure might happen. We are very failure adverse here in Spain. We need to learn to be less failure adverse. Failure happens, and failure is a way of learning, and it's not a reason for giving up. And when things don't go well, it's not a reason for giving up. You just keep trying. So for me, it's constant reminding myself that it's okay, just keep going, as long as you still want to do it.
And I'm sure you work with incredible, bright engineers like throughout your life, and now you're interviewing as well because you're growing, right? What are the soft skills that you look for when you interview someone, apart from, of course, a super strong like technical background, but soft skills?
So in our interviewing process, I'm part of all the interviews, and I'm the very last one. And I never ask a technical question. I don't care, because I already assume that you have the technical skill to do so. So what I ask is, what's your motivation? What moves you? What's your passion? And I always let them know that you really have to live this. You really have to love it, because otherwise it's too hard. And if you are here for the money, maybe go somewhere else where the job is easier. You are only here for a job, maybe go somewhere else. But if you are here for the technology, if you are here for what you're building, if you are here because you want to change the world, that's the right place to be. And what we do by doing this is to make sure there's a cultural match. And it's to make sure that you have these characteristics of not giving up, of not being discouraged when failure happens, because when you are building deep tech, failure happens all the time. We are building something that is very hard. There's a lot of uncertainties, and for me it's very important that if you come to the company, you are okay with uncertainty. You are okay with not having everything under control or super planned. And there's people that is not okay with that, and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But then you will suffer. You will suffer, and I don't want anybody suffering in our company, in our team. So we look very much on this alignment, on tolerance to failure, resilience, understanding that what we do has huge impact, potential impact, but might go wrong, and it's okay. You are here trying, you are here doing what you love, and that's what matters. And the rest will come.
Fantastic. And what is the legacy that you're building? I mean, of course, you're just building quantum computers that will completely change like how we live and how we work, for sure. But like of all the potential impacts that quantum computers can have in anyone's life, is there any particular one that excites you the most?
Yes, I think it's what brought me here. So it's can we end up curing diseases that do not have a cure nowadays with the future quantum computers, that maybe I won't see them, but maybe we as a company have contributed to implanting the seed that will build on the IP that for the quantum computers that will solve those problems. It's something that I hope ends up happening. So can we accelerate breakthroughs in medicine? How we accelerate breakthroughs in the way we understand the world and we work as a society, as humanity? Can we help in the well-being of that?
Brilliant. And see, this is why we should all care about quantum computers. Awesome. So just to finish with, I always give my guests...
It's fun. Who's someone who's passed away you wish you had met, and why? I would say one of these big renowned scientists, I would like to meet Einstein.
Ooh.
I would like to meet Einstein, and I will probably be super scared to talk to him, but I don't know, I like to meet him. And he was very critical with quantum mechanics. He was one of the oppositors of quantum mechanics. He was later convinced about quantum mechanics, but there were some effects that were going a little bit against his theories. It was later possible to conciliate both theories, but he was very puzzled by quantum mechanics. And it's funny how such a bright man was puzzled by something that now we just give it as a given, we take it as a given. So I love to sit down with him and show him how far quantum mechanics has got and what opinion he has. Maybe he would say, "You're building quantum computers? That's crazy." So I love that.
Cool. Super cool. I mean, yeah, I wish it's, like genius is from the past, and today we have a genius in the present. So, well, I hope everyone learned a lot. Thanks a lot, Marta.
Thanks to you. That was great.
Thank you.